Today we are going to be talking about the number one issue that I see with amateur golfers when it comes to misstriking their irons. This is a problem that kills consistency, it destroys distance, and it ruins mostly every chance that you have of shooting good scores. Now in today's video we have teamed up with our amazing channel partners at HackMotion. It's a training aid which allows you to monitor wrist angles and a number of other things throughout the swing, and I highly recommend that you check them out. If you want more information, there is a link in the description below. We're going to be using HackMotion throughout today's lesson just to explain certain facets of the swing, but also if you don't own one of these yet, we'll also talk how you can still use the information to improve your iron striking. The number one mistake that I see amateurs make with their irons is trying to help the golf ball up into the air. Now the reason for that is quite simple. When you're striking the ball off a fairway, out of the rough, wherever it may be, unless you're on a teeing ground where you can really lift the ball up into the air, the ball is sitting on the ground. And therefore the initial reaction of most golfers when they come through the ball is to lean back and to try and help the golf ball up into the air, like so. Now, the reason that this is a problem, well, I just fatted the absolute hell out of that one, but it can also lead to thin shots, it can lead to tops, and it's inconsistent when you are striking the golf ball. Now, if you want to achieve good iron striking, you need to try and get the club moving on a downward angle of attack through the point of impact. Now, there's a few different angles of attack you can have, obviously in different ranges. You can get the club moving down through impact, you can get the club moving relatively level, and you can get the club moving upward through the angle of attack. Now, because the ball is sat on the ground with your irons, you're going to be much more consistent if you can hit the ball first and then the turf. So a downward angle of attack. And if you're an amateur who's leaning back through the golf ball, it's almost going to be impossible for you to stay on top of the ball, strike it first, and then take a divot afterwards. Now, Pete, you may be saying, I know this is a problem that I have. We're not using Zoom, can we?
No, right next to the flat.
I genuinely think that might have had a chance of going in. So it is a common issue, and like I said, it's probably the number one thing that I saw whilst coaching. Now, there's a few things that we can look at. The first one is when you lean back through the ball, you try and help it into the air. Often, something that happens is for the lead wrist, so the left wrist for a right-handed golfer, is to break down or go into extension. Now what happens here is as the wrist breaks down, as it goes into extension, the club head will overtake the lead hand like so. And if you put that down behind the ball, you can understand how your angle of attack would bottom out early and you'd hit that fat or that thin shot. So the first thing we need to do is ensure that this lead wrist is coming into impact still in a little bit of flexion. So still in this direction rather than being in this extended position. So we want to be coming in with the lead wrist nice and firm into here rather than coming into impact with the lead wrist here. Now using HackMotion, we can train this fairly easily. We can take swings and we can get feedback from the app. Now you can also use HackMotion to set benchmarks. So you can train with this app and compare your data to Tour Pros, to your handicap level. It's a very intuitive way to train, and it's also got audio feedback, which really helps. So I can use the app just to make sure that as I come down, I am keeping this wrist in flexion. Now a great drill that you can use, it's called the motorcycle drill, and again HackMotion will give you guidance on this. You could do the drill in the app, but you can also train this yourself. It's really simple. You come down into impact, and rather than letting the wrist make this movement, you actively try and get the knuckles to move down towards the ground like so, as if you're not revving your motorbike. What are you doing there? You're braking, you're changing gears. You never ridden a motorbike? Anyone ridden a motorbike before? If you do that. So you come through, drag the knuckles, rev or brake your motorcycle, whatever you do. Move your wrist in this position like so. And as you come through impact, if you hold this position, you'll see that you return with the shaft and the handle leaning forward, the left wrist, the lead wrist in that nice firm position. If you can stay on top of the golf ball, you'll be able to strike down and through. Feel that movement down, the knuckles dragging as you come down into impact. God, how good is it to see that ball fly through the air? Go on then. Not quite as perfect. Oh, to be honest, just like the firm turf at a links. We're at Prince's Golf Club here on the south coast of England, and it's a chilly morning, but it's amazing. But what if you want another drill to use so you can ensure that you're striking the ball first and then the turf? Well, if you have access to one of these, a T-peg, then I have something for you. So all I'm going to do with this T-peg is I'm going to place it in front of the golf ball, so towards my intended target. I'm going to let it sit on the target line, and it's just an inch ahead of the ball. Now you can see I've not really teed it in too low. There's just a little bit of it poking out of the top. Now my whole intention for this next swing is to hit the ball, yes, but I'm actually aiming for the tee. Because if I can hit this tee, if I can take it out of the ground, then I know that my club has hit the ball, carried on in a downward direction to hit the tee. So I know my angle of attack has been down. And if I can link this in with another key feeling, then I cannot lean back. I can stay on top of the golf ball and strike it pure. So I've got a 7-iron here, and the feeling I'm going to have is actually relatively simple. I'm going to get set up to the ball, which is just forward of center in my stance with a 7. Again, you can use this pretty much with any iron. It just needs to be adapted for ball position. And what I want to do is mention is hit the ball first and then hit the tee. The feeling I'm going to have within my swing, because that is a focus of my swing to hit the T-peg. The feeling that I'm going to have is to move my chest on top of where the T-peg is. So it starts out pretty much just behind the ball, the center of my sternum. I'm going to swing it back, and then I'm going to move my chest onto the top of the T-peg, obviously with my focus to hit it out of the ground. If I strike the ball in this position, if I can link it in with that knuckle drag drill as well, I will be striking the ball first, the turf, and not leaning back. Okay, moment of truth. God, the sound is just brilliant off links turf. All right guys, a huge thank you to watching and a massive thank you to HackMotion for partnering with the channel. Please take this information away, use this drill and really hone in that ball first and turf striking. If you do want to continue your swing quest, please check out these videos here.